The courtroom doors opened as Nathaniel Green stepped forward, carrying frustration that had clearly been building for months. He was suing his former girlfriend, Takai Tomlin, demanding compensation for jewelry she admitted taking after their relationship collapsed. But the most emotional part of the case wasn't the missing jewelry at all, it was a cat named Tu. According to Nathaniel, the cat had become deeply important to him after the death of a previous pet, and he believed Takai took the animal purely to hurt him emotionally after their breakup. Judge Judy immediately focused on understanding the history between the two before deciding who was truly responsible for the chaos. Now sitting in her courtroom, Nathaniel explained that they began living together around 1999 and eventually had 2 children together during the relationship. He testified that in July of 2000, he purchased the snowshoe cat from a friend, and even kept the original receipt, proving the animal belonged to him. He described how attached he became to the cat after losing another pet earlier in his life. To him, the animal carried emotional meaning far beyond its financial value. Judge Judy examined a photograph of the cat, while Nathaniel pointed out disturbing messages Takai had allegedly written on the back after taking the animal. Takai admitted she moved out in November of 2001 after discovering rumors that Nathaniel had been cheating on her. Nathaniel strongly denied the accusations, insisting the rumors came from one of Takai's friends and were completely false. Judge Judy quickly stopped the argument before it spiraled into a relationship debate, reminding both of them that the case was about property, not heartbreak. The important issue, according to the judge, was why Takai waited until January to return for the cat, instead of taking it immediately when she moved out months earlier. Takai calmly explained that when she returned to collect the rest of her belongings in January, she decided to take the cat because she believed the animal would be happier living with her. Nathaniel immediately interrupted, emotionally insisting the real reason was revenge. He described how much comfort the cat brought him emotionally after losing his previous pet and accused Takai of intentionally targeting something she knew mattered deeply to him. Judge Judy understood the emotional motivation immediately. In her view, Takai took the cat because she was angry and wanted Nathaniel to feel pain after the breakup. Once the conversation shifted toward the jewelry, the situation became even more serious. Takai admitted she also took a Rolex watch, a chain, and a pendant belonging to Nathaniel. Judge Judy asked her directly why she took the items. Takai honestly admitted she was furious at the time and simply wanted Nathaniel to hurt the way she believed he had hurt her. Nathaniel explained that the Rolex was especially painful to lose because it had belonged to his late father. The watch carried sentimental value far beyond money, and his voice cracked as he explained how deeply betrayed he felt. Despite everything, Nathaniel admitted he still loved Takai because they shared children together, but he confessed he no longer trusted her after what she had done. Judge Judy then shifted focus towards something she considered even more important than the jewelry dispute: the children. She reminded both parties that, regardless of how badly their romantic relationship ended, they would remain connected forever because they shared 2 young children. According to the judge, parents are not supposed to continue feeding hatred after separation because doing so eventually harms the children far more than either adult realizes. Takai quietly listened as Judge Judy explained that mature adults should learn to separate romantic pain from parenting responsibilities. The situation worsened dramatically when Takai admitted she had already pawned the jewelry. Nathaniel looked devastated. Takai explained. She received approximately $4,000 for the Rolex and another $1,900 for the chain and pendant. Judge Judy immediately questioned what happened to the money. Takai admitted she was struggling financially, staying with relatives, and using the pawn money for living expenses and other personal costs. She confessed she no longer had stable housing. And that was part of the reason Nathaniel currently had physical custody of their children. Nathaniel quietly added that he had been caring for the children full-time, while Takai tried rebuilding her life. Judge Judy became visibly frustrated. She explained to Takai that anger did not justify stealing valuable sentimental property from someone, especially the father of her children. She pointed out that Takai had made a terrible decision during an emotional moment, and now Nathaniel might never recover his father's watch. Nathaniel interrupted emotionally, explaining he had spent months trying peacefully to get his belongings returned. He claimed Takai even threatened him, at one point, telling him if he kept contacting her about the property, he might never see his cat again. Judge Judy then delivered one of the strongest lectures of the hearing. She told Nathaniel he needed to stop focusing entirely on the lost jewelry and remember the most valuable things he still had, his children. According to Judge Judy, material possessions matter far less than maintaining stability for the children involved. She also reminded Takai that Nathaniel currently had custody and daily responsibility for the children, which meant she needed to stop acting out of anger and begin behaving responsibly if she wanted a healthy co-parenting relationship moving forward. Nathaniel then asked the question he cared about most, whether he would finally get his cat back. Judge Judy assured him she would prepare a legal order requiring Takai to return the cat immediately. She explained that if Takai refused, Nathaniel could use law enforcement officers such as a marshal or sheriff to enforce the court order. Judge Judy warned Takai very clearly that refusing to cooperate would only create more problems for her, especially considering Nathaniel already had custody of the children. As the hearing ended, Judge Judy ruled fully in Nathaniel's favor and awarded him $2,600, the amount requested in the lawsuit. She also formally ordered the return of the cat. Takai quietly admitted she now understood she had acted out of anger and regretted hurting Nathaniel the way she did. Nathaniel, however, remained emotional and disappointed, especially knowing his father's Rolex might be gone forever. Both parties left the courtroom visibly affected by the hearing, and Judge Judy's message remained painfully clear. When children are involved, bitterness between parents eventually damages everyone around them. Moments later, another emotionally charged relationship dispute entered the courtroom. 23-year-old accounting clerk Kendra Johnson was suing her former boyfriend, truck driver DeVario White, for unpaid loans, restaurant charges, and the cost of a tuxedo rental connected to a wedding she invited him to attend. According to Kendra, DeVario repeatedly used her financially throughout the relationship while promising to repay her later. DeVario, however, insisted everything she spent on him had been given willingly as gifts. Kendra first explained the $100 payment she made shortly after they began dating. According to her, DeVario claimed his cell phone service had been disconnected and asked for money to restore it so they could stay in contact. She testified that, because she cared about the relationship and had no other reliable way to reach him, she agreed to help. DeVario admitted she gave him the money but insisted it was voluntary. He claimed Kendra wanted constant communication and offered the money herself without pressure. Judge Judy carefully listened before focusing on one critical detail. After receiving the money, DeVario still failed to make himself available through the cell phone as promised. Kendra testified she still had trouble reaching him and often needed to call relatives instead. Judge Judy immediately recognized a pattern forming. In her view, Kendra repeatedly ignored obvious warning signs because she was emotionally invested in the relationship. The next issue involved a tuxedo rental connected to a wedding. Kendra invited DeVario to attend with her. Kendra explained that she asked him to be her escort and even paid the initial tuxedo deposit herself. But on the actual wedding day, DeVario informed her he still had not picked up the tux because he lacked money. Desperate not to attend the wedding alone, Kendra paid the remaining balance herself just minutes before the ceremony. Even after all that, they still arrived too late for her to participate properly in the event, because DeVario delayed everything by stopping for a haircut first. Judge Judy listened with visible disbelief. As Kendra described continuing to spend money, despite repeated disappointments. Then the case moved to the restaurant charge. Kendra testified they visited a restaurant called Oasis in Maryland during one of their dates. After dinner, she later realized DeVario had signed her credit card receipt using her name without permission. At first, she described this as unauthorized use of her card, but Judge Judy immediately challenged the logic of her actions afterward. According to the judge, if someone truly forged your signature and stole from you, common sense would suggest ending the relationship immediately. Instead, Kendra continued dating him, invited him to weddings, and kept spending money on him afterward. DeVario defended himself by claiming Kendra willingly handed him the credit card and asked him to pay the bill. He admitted signing her name, but insisted he had permission. Judge Judy quickly dismissed most of the argument because she believed the larger issue wasn't legal fraud. It was poor judgment within a toxic relationship dynamic. When Judge Judy asked DeVario whether he had ever truly taken Kendra out and paid for anything himself, his answers only made the situation worse. He admitted he rarely spent money on her because, according to him, she liked paying for everything. Judge Judy sarcastically remarked that he must be absolutely wonderful if he expected his girlfriend to constantly finance the relationship. As the hearing continued, Judge Judy became increasingly blunt. She told Kendra that none of these payments looked like real loans, because she repeatedly continued the relationship after every supposed betrayal. In the judge's view, Kendra willingly spent money, hoping to maintain affection and attention from someone who clearly contributed very little in return. Judge Judy explained that if Kendra had immediately ended the relationship after the credit card incident, the situation might have appeared more believable as fraud. but continuing to invite DeVario to events and finance him afterward destroyed much of her credibility. Finally, the courtroom transitioned into another dispute involving an eBay jet ski sale between Michael Caroselli and Mac Brame. Michael claimed Mac misrepresented the condition of a jet ski sold online and demanded thousands of dollars after discovering the machine had previously been submerged underwater and no longer worked properly. Mac insisted Michael was attempting to scam him after agreeing to purchase the jet ski as is. Michael explained he traveled hundreds of miles after seeing the eBay listing. According to him, Mac claimed he was selling the jet ski on behalf of a friend and made it clear there were no guarantees about its condition. Still, Michael believed the seller intentionally concealed important information, specifically that the machine had previously sunk underwater. After taking the jet ski home, Michael immediately brought it to a mechanic who informed him the engine showed clear signs of serious water damage and was essentially worthless. Feeling deceived, Michael stopped payment on the check he had written to Mac. He then emailed Mac, demanding he take the jet ski back. Mac, however, responded by contacting authorities. Eventually, Michael was pressured into paying the money anyway. After fears of criminal consequences connected to the stopped payment, now he wanted the court to force Mac to refund the purchase price plus additional damages. Judge Judy carefully examined the original eBay listing and repeatedly emphasized one important point. The jet ski was sold strictly as is, with no guarantees. According to the judge, a reasonable buyer, reading the listing, would understand there were major risks involved. Michael admitted Mac never promised the machine worked perfectly. His main argument centered on the belief that Mac must have known the jet ski had been submerged previously. But when Judge Judy asked for actual proof that Mac knew about the flooding damage, Michael admitted he had no direct evidence. That admission changed everything. Judge Judy bluntly explained that feelings and assumptions are not evidence. In her courtroom, the buyer needed proof that the seller knowingly misrepresented the product. Without proof, the case became much weaker. Michael argued that the engine compartment appeared suspiciously clean, making him believe someone intentionally hid the water damage, but Judge Judy remained unconvinced. Mac then explained he was merely helping a friend sell items online because the friend lacked enough eBay reputation and feedback to attract buyers. Judge Judy criticized the arrangement harshly, warning Mac that allowing friends to use his online reputation created serious risks. Still, she acknowledged that the listing itself clearly warned buyers about uncertainty regarding the jet ski's condition. As the hearing continued, Judge Judy repeatedly returned to the same principle. Buyers who purchase risky items, as is, must accept responsibility for those risks, unless clear fraud can be proven. Michael's frustration and disappointment were obvious, but Judge Judy refused to substitute assumptions for evidence. Throughout the hearing, her message remained consistent. Emotional reactions and regret do not automatically create legal liability.